All right, well, here I am, and welcome to the channel. My name is Joshua, and today is a weekly recap. So I've got some background noise. I'm going to have to kind of settle that down, but in the meantime, let me kind of bring in our frequency. We'll be just doing a discussion today. This is from Soft Forest Music. Let's put a subscription on these things that we like always, and we'll add this to our LSMR meditations for anybody who's interested in this frequency going forward, and kind of just bring it in abrupt and get started. Now, I can hear this thing in the background, so just give me a second and take a moment with this frequency. I will be right back. All right. My apologies. It is the time of my week where I'm kind of having to get ready to go back to work, but as I stated, this is a good time also for me to kind of put a recap of the week. It was a kind of strange time, Tuesday evening, pretty late Eastern time especially. But, there's a great effort on my part lately. Not that it takes effort, but just to not focus so much on the 40-day work week where I find myself doing the thing that I don't love. The things that I do to make a living, to survive in this world, is not what I love, unfortunately, today. Now, if you are so situated that you are able to do the things that you love, I am very, very happy for you. In fact, send me a comment, tell me what it is that you do love and how you kind of got to that point. But just to recap kind of here, that why I'm doing these weekly discussions is to give me an opportunity to kind of review a progress report, more maybe for myself, but kind of sometimes I think it's important for us to have a homework assignment of some sort that takes accountability for maybe parts of the week where I just found myself a little bit off balance. It's in the vein of accountability with my integrity. To make sure I'm not getting too far off the beam, obviously, either. Now, obviously, this Facebook group I'm referring to, the 7 Chakra Tiers, is why. Because, the 7 Chakra Tiers, understanding of the chakra centers, the 7 body or mind centers of my body, the primary ones. In my root, my sacral, my solar plexus, my heart. Finally, above there is my throat, my third eye, and my crown. Right now, we need to focus 100% though on the lower parts, right? Finding balance within earth energy, water energy, fire energy, and air energy. And those bottom 4, before we even go to the extent of finding our own expression, finding our own creativity within the divinity that we understand, within our own purpose, moving beyond the pleasure seeking, leaning in a bit on our creativity, finding a powerful centrifuge of that in order to kind of motivate and inspire the right thing to the surface. That's important. So that finally the expressions that do come from me, from my heart, are in the vein of love. It does not mean that it does not hurt certain other people, but as long as I'm not doing it directly and I'm using it hopefully in the vein of growth, not just for myself, but within myself first, that then as a result of my own betterment, that way I can serve others better and set others free. So obviously a week ago, being that it's the 20th of February, we're going back to the days leading up to Valentine's Day, at the end of this last week, where I kind of found a friend of mine. He's a member here on the group, and just it's nice to have people in the same, conceptualization of God or universe, and just like the acceptance of that. And he introduced me to this again, just a reminder in a way, but something that kind of goes unnoticed a lot of times, is the concept of samsara, where there is like this nature of cyclical events, the like chaos of divinity, that yin-yang philosophy of chaos and order. But no matter what, like a poor man becoming rich, a rich man becoming poor. So I just posted a couple things, of course, they're in the vein of tarot as well. There's the Wheel of Fortune, for example. But nonetheless, this 21, reversing the wheel of samsara, just stated that usually we feel there's a large problem and we have to fix it. That inclination within ourselves that, oh, there's something wrong in the universe. Oh, what I need to do this. I need to do this. Let's to have hope that I can change anything. Sometimes with a very futile attempt. So the instruction of samsara is to stop, to do something unfamiliar, to seek out some new experience, something different. Just do anything besides rushing off, leading me to that same old direction, that same old result, up to the same old tricks. So basically what it says here. So I did a bit of writing on that. Didn't land very much, but it's understandable. There's only so much people are willing to read these days, and I just kind of simplified things. Like the fire that I need to put out isn't always external. The internal flame within me sometimes also requires the same steps. First step is to stop. To recognize that this is, even though all this motion, all this activity that I'm putting on is for show, like it's just stagnant. Like I need to recognize that first. So that's what the result of stopping is. I can finally recognize it and see it for what it is. Following steps being drop it and roll on, right? Stop, drop, and roll. Put out a fire. So this new experience, I just wanted to embrace this. So the first day here a week ago was to stopping, to taking note of and recognize something different here. Very important. Following that, of course, I been reading a lot of Marianne Williamson. If you notice in the chat for the daily readings, I'm posting some Marianne Williamson on a daily basis right now. Her yearly daily devotion of love and miracles. And it's this quote, this amazing quote of hers that you've made, or I hope you've heard before, but to represent the lower level of love is in fear. So to point out what that is very clearly, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Like how often do we find ourselves actually being of impact to the world? And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So as a result of not shrinking from the world, of not just like taking on other people's definitions of me, only then can I really move forward. So we did an evening meditation that February 13th based on gratitude. I also posted this, it's a re-translated version of a Rumi poem I really liked. Then upon us is Valentine's Day, where I needed to do a couple different exercises. The first of which is just to recognize that love is greater than myself. But happy Valentine's Day. And my prayer that I send out this day is just to say, I wish, I hope. But beyond those things within from myself, I pray that your days be wondrous and full of love. May the gift of giving outweigh the receiving. May each moment be observed with a heart of appreciation from that gratitude vein, right? And may the lessons of today linger on into more moments shared together, not alone, together, with love, so that you might recognize that it is not just today the commercialization of love, the biggest fallacy in this world that this is the day we love each other, but rather all days. Let's carry this inspiration to do something kind for another person into the days to come. And beyond that, I also needed to recognize something within myself, and I did a group meditation with a group of people, and a homework assignment that came in that was an opportunity to write a letter to myself. And so I'd written the letter, and I came across this passage a little later that no lovers claim me, and I have no lover to claim, so I remain nobody to anybody, but I will always be somebody to me. And this is just a great exercise, right? To lead by example, to recognize that no one else is here to fill me up. It is only within my willingness to engage with life that I can recognize the efforts that have been put forth, and to acknowledge myself, that I don't need your validations, lip service, or anything else. So this is just a great exercise for me. The day after Valentine's Day, this is when now, supposedly, the love experience has now happened. And so let's bring this into the next day to see how much from setting this intention, writing a letter to myself, recognizing that I do not require anybody else's affirmations or anybody else to build me up in order to experience love. This is to love. Even with all the memories and supposed awareness of years past, it is incredible how much there is to discover when I finally choose to stop and appreciate in gratitude those little things. Finally, when the anxiety, stress, and worry subside, when I learn to breathe intimately with the stillness of a present moment, when I consciously release all the karmic energy that I've harnessed, even unbeknownst to me, a miracle can occur or will occur. And it is like when a butterfly lands on my finger, or I recognize the lingering scent in the still air. Perhaps even just the sound of a distant shore that I otherwise would have never been in tune enough to listen for, to hear in the stillness. What more is there to do than to love? How sweet it is, beyond everything, I become to love. When I dissipate from all this mental noise, all this confusion, all the things I think about myself, and moreover, like what other people think of me, forget all that. When I move beyond that to the stillness of my own experience and become less reactive, a butterfly lands on, I can sense things I wasn't otherwise in tune enough to do and to experience. Yet unbeknownst to me, they're right there. They're right here, right in front of my eyes, right within this energy field that I create. The difference is when I move beyond fear, I'm in fear, my periphery is limited. When I'm in love, showcasing love, and not so much for others as much as for myself, for my own authenticity, for my own expressions, therein my sensory grows, my understanding grows, my expressions grow. Finally, we moved into reading, so I've been introducing some books. I don't know how far I can go as far as reading more, but an introduction to The Alchemist here by Paulo Coelho. Great book. Recommend that one for sure. I copied and pasted something from a friend and recommended a reading there as well. And as my friend Craig Holiday had a surrender Tower Kundalini, I just wanted to give him a quick shout out there as well on that day. As I do a lot of my own meditation sometimes when I need inspiration or something, to be able to listen to him guide from his own experience and breath work, and just the surrendering of this was very powerful to me, and I was inspired to share that over. And for some reason here, out of almost nowhere, seemingly to me, I was caught by this Eckhart Tolle quote: "If you believe only your religion is the truth, you are using it in the service of the ego. Used in such a way, religion can become ideology and creates illusory senses of superiority as well as division and conflict between people." So a deeper look for me became this writing. If I were to pose a question about timing, would it be in vain, this concept of when? So when? Does it really matter when? If I can, even for a brief moment, eliminate from my mind the inner conflicts related to time, as I found myself waiting for certain things to occur as a result of some action or anything. When I finally get into that space in my meditation where time doesn't exist, I find myself living in eternity. Is bliss found here for you as well? This is that moment in my meditation where sometimes I'll have like different positions with my hands, and I'll find myself in the middle of meditation and I don't feel that I'm touching anything anymore. The sensory has disappeared, but the peripheral of my awareness has grown immensely. So in the vein of that religious truth, the verbiage therein, when I die, this happens. So has the doctrinal conceptualizations for centuries. This perpetuated fantasy of fate and robbing the masses of our most valuable asset. It's just kind of an aside from my own, this is how I view it. Doesn't mean you have to view it this way, and I don't mean to offend, of course. But if only for a moment we can disregard the outlines found of text or rhetorical verbiages, praise or prejudice, good or bad, finally allow the inner child who knows not of those fallacies to live in love again, we might finally experience something wonderful again to eternity. This like carry on about what happens when I die. Oh no, my God, heaven's this, hell's that. All these definitions of things that nobody's ever proven, nobody for that matter will ever prove from this side of life, within life. This is an experience. Life is an experience. And also to those that participated here in the question of the week, share one thing that brought you joy this week. Very inspired by some participation there. So thank you for those that did post your moving comments and those experiences of the week. Then I started midweek to kind of introduce a part of my day where I need to start this way on my own too, but I just figured I'd share a bit of my inspiration from my prayers. And by Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements, there's a prayer for freedom and a prayer for love at the end of that book in a chapter called Prayers. So over the course of a couple days back to back, 3 days ago and 2 days ago, I started my day, my last couple days over the weekend, going to work by reading a prayer live. And also over the course of the weekend, I just came across this, which caught my eye and my attention. It's in the realm of other people's understanding of myself, and I don't need to associate the way that my life experience is based on how other people see me. And I do really like this, just as a carryover and throughout the week, carrying that love, but not the burden, not other people's perspective of me. So as I recognize, even when I realize we're all witnessing a distorted perspective of the world as we know it, each other, and even ourselves, it begs the question, is there anything that I will ever actually fully understand? Our own attitudes, behaviors are daunting enough to sort out of ourselves, as a ripple effect results from our activities and speech, actions, and even facial expressions, creating a karmic and eternal wave, right? No matter what I do, like there's some cause and effect, actions and reactions. So why associate all these others people's, right, assumed or communicated opinions of myself? Those short-sighted judgments keep us small and in some elements of fear inclined to defend. Finally, the truth requires no defense. And there is nothing to understand completely. I can only abruptly accept whatever it is, and then allow the universe to intervene as is nature's law. To karma. Allow the universe to right the ship, to do what it does, to turn it over. And that evening, I know I didn't do a lot of meditations live this week, but I did appreciate that one, doing the cleansing of my karma. And finally, just an aside, a shameless plug. Soul Leaf's a really amazing. I love their words and their inspiration found on that. And of course, like I said, the prayer, that's the long prayer for love on Sunday morning. And as I may have been in my feelings closing out the week a little bit more, I found this passage by Colette O'Mahony, another smaller time author perhaps of her in her own right. But this graphic just caught my attention, and I ended up writing about it. The persistence, the regrowth process, anytime someone comes into my awareness, whether abusively or just as a passerby, as they lack love for me or I for myself, I am capable of regrowing, as every time I get trampled deeper and deeper into the earth. I have the appreciation for all the soil, the fertile soil there. That maybe perhaps the next time I grow, I need to grow into something a little bit brighter, a little bit more intentionally. So that finally maybe one of these seasons upon where there's just a possibility that finally I can become the flower that upon regrowth in the upcoming season, that I might be able to become so luminous within my own essence, my own divinity, that even if it does happen again, that someone comes by and knocks me off of my pedestal, or not even a pedestal, just tramples me down, that they might be so compelled to pause and recognize that they have actually trampled over such a miraculously persistent and beautiful flower. To persistence, right? Allow me to just become a flower, even for a moment, so that in the trampling, in the downtroddenness, in the inevitability of my downfall, that no matter what on that wheel of samsara, I never get to stay at the very top. There's always going to be a knockdown and a time of new experiences so that I can rebuild again the ebbs and flows of life. But to persistence, to not giving up. And of course, Sunday was also now we're giving the acknowledgments to all the people here. I mean, it's incredible how many people have been coming in. So thank you all for becoming part of this. And then at some point yesterday, Monday, I just read a bit of the Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield, Chapter 1, A Critical Mass. Another great book I just wanted to introduce this week. Finally, also yesterday, I posted some distinction between hope and faith, as this jumped out to me that hope is praying for rain, but faith is bringing an umbrella, the recognition that hope as a verb and a noun, but mostly like in the vein of it being a verb, an action. Faith is not an action, it is a noun only. I either have it or I do not have faith. I either have the provision of the umbrella or I choose to not bring the umbrella. There's no in between. So I'm going to read this for us as well. What a powerful distinction there is between hope and faith, this chasm between life as a circumstance and life in experience or experiential. I have certainly hoped for much, prayed for selfish things, and subsequently avoided the grand experience of life from a perceived lack of manna. We learned in church that word of manna, God's provision that comes free when we're walking in the desert, that the provision has been given to us. We always have manna to some degree. It's a good word to look up for yourself to maybe have a greater understanding of, and I'd encourage you to do so. But if I have learned anything, maybe I haven't, I don't know. It is that I must not beguile or dismiss the miracle of being blessed by burden, suffering, and even recourse, right? Even in those things, even in the burdens of life, the sufferings of life, and this the universal push into some new mode, new path, the recourse. That's a miracle. That is the miracle many times. So let us not abstain from the elemental role of every season. I must recognize that indeed I can and I will continue to grow in my awareness of faith as a resolution, as a constant. My awareness of faith as a resolution, or even as a constant. There is not, it's only my choice to lack faith. I either do or I do not. Let's lean into the do, to having faith. So the question remains, am I ever truly in need of anything, or simply just unaware of my provision to faith? Stay tuned. I did start adding a couple hashtags. That's new. So we'll see. And I just threw this in there. That's the, Om. Allow those frequency to move all the way through my body. This is just a really cool understanding of loneliness versus solitude. I encourage you to read that and subscribe to that channel. This Unlearning the Path to Enlightenment is an amazing channel. Amazing group. I really love their posts. And finally today, I have 2 posts today, ironically, but in the conclusion of the week, to bring this all into fullness. This week of love. This week of carrying not just in the vein of Valentine's Day, but all the way through the week. Allow me here to wish, to maybe only hope, but rather I choose today to pray upon kindness. So what constitutes a positive change which might enable us to remain willing and able to display kindness even while in a supposed mean world? The cruelness, my perspective of this world being that of something different than what I otherwise think it could be, should be, would be, if all those conditions. So I write, perhaps it is an oversimplification, just lip service and limited, but we know nothing of others' experience generally. Finding the ability to showcase kindness continually can only come after we develop new habits and attitudes, and within the realm of acceptance and with faith. Our perspectives are merely subjective and usually give way to how we experience the world. What I see in the world is how I experience the world. That perspective needs to be altered from time to time. So the prayer is, May we recognize that the good in this world is a reflection of but a few beacons of light, just a few. That the objective we can have is to maintain an attitude of gratitude for life as a habit, having a new habit in gratitude. Today, may we choose to not become disillusioned, believing that the universe will do the work without us. Instead, may we take responsibility and more continually recognize that when we get in the stream of life with the universe, only then we are afforded the opportunity to become one of those few beacons of light to kindness. Stay tuned. Let's go. Came across this amazing interview, just kind of popped out nowhere, and they introduced you to a little bit of Lauryn Hill. If you can watch it, great. If you can't, I'm sorry, as it is limited. And of course, we have to end the week with what we've learned of love. And so today I write, thank you for all of the support on this path. And as opposed to doing these intentions on the group, I did post this rather on my personal profile to share within my own circle something deep of my own personal thought for the day. And to conclude, to share with you this week, this message of what I have learned, if anything, this week through the actions of taking 15 to 20 minutes a day to write something down, to bring something to the surface that I otherwise I wasn't doing before, to stepping out of that comfort zone, to do the things that came upon this week that aren't of the usual, of the same routine, the breaking away of the normal, so that I can invite in again that new experience constantly. I am nothing of value to you or anybody else until I become willing to step out of this prison of my own making, and not to blame those that have been there with me in that prison. It's not of their making, it's of my choices to experience life a little deeper, to have something of value to bring to the surface, to share with you at all, to utilize my knowledge, my working knowledge of these lower 4 chakra centers. In the first chakra, the root chakra, is the I am, to be, to recognize that I am safe, I am here, I am there. In my sacral chakra, to feel the emotional energy of that water energy. In my personal power, to take the actions of my gut, to recognize the gut instincts that have kept me trapped, where maybe I'm giving my power away, so that finally I can hopefully move into love more deeply, more intimately, more defenselessly. And so I write. I may not be a writer, but I will write. Just as I may not be a singer, but I will sing. And I may not be a dancer, but I will dance. I may not be a Christian, but I will believe in myself. My creative modalities and expressions exist most wholly within a relationship with the divine, with the universe, and not so much the one of your understanding, but mine. So no human conditioning shall be allowed to dissuade my effort for their own comfort. Quick aside, how cruel a world it is that disavows effort without these definitions and titles. As if I would not recognize the funnel, bribing the many into an isolated cog for more effective mass manipulations or false pretense and obligation, whereupon verbalized opposition creates confusion and discomfort, befalling the countenance of a fellow who has already fallen either partially or fully into their own limited definition. They may be found seeking a title, becoming more financially or emotionally obligated, yet remaining still and heartless. Today, I encourage you. Embrace your fullest divinity, creativity, and expression, and not because of your definition of yourself, or worse, others' definition of yourself, but for the sake of personal growth. Please embrace your freedom to be in your root chakra, to recognize that foundation you have, to feel pleasure, to act out of bounds sometimes, and finally, to love in our hearts. That is the progression of the 4 lower chakra centers, so that we can get to a part of expression, get these things out. This is just my path. This is what I need to do right now to move through the things that are hurdles in my life, to not maintain a structure, safe space, but still maintain my balance of purpose. Within that which is not understood, I must embrace the day for the sake of my own love. And of course, this is written not so much to you, but to myself, in the same practice of Valentine's Day, where I write myself a love letter. I conclude this week to myself. Sorry, let me jump over here and turn down the volume of that. This is a longer video, and I very much appreciate your participation and following along. I know that so far I haven't had the most structured approach, schedule, or anything else. Not everything is perfect in this studio, but it is a personal space. And in time, I do trust that as I become more effective, as other people may be able to tune in, and as things become a little bit more intimate, I suppose, new inspiration arises throughout the course of time. Whatever will happen, will happen. But my objective this week is to recognize it's my duty and my discipline to keep showing up, no matter what, to speaking my truth, whether that be in writing, dancing, or singing, just believing in myself. I do not need you, your likes, your contributions to do that. To love. Have a great day. Stay tuned. Peace.